Hello everyone, Juxtaposition here. Today's video will be entitled Strategic Communication Laboratories. Yes, merry old London is involved with military intelligence, psychological warfare. Oh yes, just like Columbia Broadcasting Systems was during World War II under the tutelage of William S. Paley, who became the president and chairman of the board of CBS, which owned Columbia Records and brought you Janis Joplin and brought you The Big Thing, renamed upon their contractual signing with The Big Thing, Chicago Transit Authority. Never known as Chicago when it played in clubs in Chicago. It was known as The Big Thing. It only became Chicago when the members were moved into provisional housing in Laurel Canyon, West Hollywood. Anyway, what I wanted to tell you about, you've heard of Facebook, which I've always referred to as Face Crack. A company founded by a Harvard college dropout. Isn't it amazing how all the dropouts do so well? Bill Gates was a Harvard dropout. Larry Ellison was a University of Illinois Urbane dropout. Steve Jobs was a never-was university student. Working at Tandem Children Video Games when he was tapped on the shoulder to head up a garage company called Apple Computer. All right, well anyway, let me tell you about SCL Group. Stands for Strategic Communications Laboratories. Formerly known as Strategic Communications Laboratories, it is now goes by SCL Group, which has been morphed and changed into what is today known. In 2012, it became Cambridge Analytica in 2012. So it's had about 11 years of service as Cambridge Analytical. Nigel Oakes is the suspicious British intelligence character who you now to keep your eyes on. Nigel John Oakes. Also his cohorts are Roger Michael Gabb, G-A-B-B, Alexander Nix, and Julian Wheatland. Those four horsemen probably should be brought in for questioning. I have a lot of questions. Anyway, SCL Group, Strategic Communications Laboratory, was a private British behavioral research and strategic communications company. That means they want to send you messages. Came into prominence when it merged with Facebook and became Cambridge Analytica. And there was a data scandal. Isn't that amazing? Probably about stealing people's personal privacy information. Anyway, it involved subsidiary entities Cambridge Analytica and Crow Business Solutions, also known as MENA. Remember, all military and all banking clandestine services have acronyms. It's deliberately done on purpose to keep everything concealed, keep the truth concealed. Anyway, this company, SCL Group, was founded in 1990 by none other than Nigel John Oakes. He served as the company's first CEO. The company described itself as a global election management agency. Let me communicate what global election management means. It means rigging elections. It means convincing people to vote for this schmuck versus that schmuck. It's kind of perfunctory because, let's be honest, there are no real choices on a ballot on the planet Earth. There's no democracy that functions anywhere. So the whole idea of influence in elections is sort of an oxymoron. Let's just say it was a test dummy platform to use elections to see if you can get people to vote Democrat or Republican or Labor Party versus the, Illuminati Party, aka the landowners versus the peasants. The company's leaders of SCL Group had close ties to the Conservative Party and the British royal family and, of course, British military, and also the United States Department of Defense, the DoD. They also had close affiliations with NATO. NATO, those are the people that murdered Sharon Tate. Yeah, those are the people that murdered Lino LaBianca, who helped set up NATO bases in Europe after World War II, and pimped out his 16-year-old daughter to pose on a surface-to-air missile under the NATO command at Verona, Italy, with the insignia U.S. Army, even though it's a NATO rocket. Anyway, the investors of SCL Group are, of course, some of the largest donors to the Conservative Party in England. Nigel Oakes, who had a background in television production and advertising, he founded the Behavioral Dynamics Institute, acronym BDI, which you know is British intelligence. It was supposed to be a research facility for strategic communication. They always like to use applied linguistics when describing military warfare. The study of mass behavior, or what I call mass psychosis, and how it helped change and lead the establishment of Strategic Communications Laboratory in 1993. Nigel Oakes thought that to shift mass opinions, academic insight, in other words, brainwash professors, into the art of indoctrination and not education, insights gained through psychologists and anthropologists at BDI should be applied and would be more successful than the traditional advertising methods. Oh, knock it off. Nigel got a huge contract with the British military and the Department of Defense, United States military. Otherwise, there would never be an SCL group. It's a military operation, which should tell you that so is Facebook, so is Google, so is YouTube, okay, so is Twitter. So are all social engineering platforms. That means Rumble, okay, that means BitChute. That means all 100%. I don't mean some, I mean all. It's not like your favorite athlete is doping. They're all doping. If you see them on television, they're on drugs. And they have to be professional, meaning you don't flap your lips about how events are rigged and managed. Anyway, I'm going to post a link here and you can read about the Strategic Communications Laboratory, which I believe is 100% military, starting out in merry old England. Its headquarters was at Chelmsford, United Kingdom. In terms of Cambridge Analytica Ltd., previously known as SCL USA, which was a British political consulting company, its headquarters are located in London, you know, where Judy Garland was done away with, where Amy Winehouse apparently was murdered in London, where Cass Elliot was murdered in London, across the street from the Dorchester Hotel, across from Hyde Park, where Keith Moon was murdered in the exact same bedroom that Cass Elliot was murdered in 4 years earlier in 1974. Anyway, the key people at Cambridge Analytica who can read your mind by the database of collecting all your thoughts are none other than Alexander Nix, you know, the cohort left over from SCL, Julian Wheatland, Robert Mercer, Rebecca Mercer, I guess might be his wife or sister, and Steve Bannon, vice president. Ugh, what a group of odious people. The data scandal, I don't really want to talk about it, but the point is that this is a partnership, an evil, unholy alliance between Facebook and Cambridge Analytica, because there's no way that Mark Zuckerberg, a Harvard dropout, has any clue about behavioral sciences and mass psychosis. But Cambridge Analytica knows all about that, including rigging elections. So I thought I'd bring this to your attention. For you Londoners, I'm sure you already are well aware of Cambridge Analytica and its precursor, SCL Group. But for the clueless Americans, you never know jack. I mean, if you think that Susan Atkins stabbed Sharon Tate or Abigail Folger, you're dumber than a box of rocks. So you're not going to know anything about Cambridge Analytica. If you think that office fires took down the Twin Towers and Building 7, you have an attention span of a gnat, and you're not going to understand anything that goes on at the Cambridge Analytica mass psychosis company, let alone the Tavistock Institute. You're just not going to get it. Okay? I'd focus more on the moon landings and San Bernardino Norton Air Force Base movie set if I was you. But you won't, because people with brains the size of a peanut never do their homework. Never, ever, ever. They just believe in the poppycock. All right, that's my video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Keep your eyes peeled on the chemtrails above, and don't breathe in those aluminum particulates. And be sure to identify all of those cohorts I mentioned and the employees of Cambridge Analytica, because I have a feeling they should be rounded up for questioning along with some private bankers. What do you say? Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.